have you talked about the maps yet on your channel?
What, Sunset and Breeze?
Or Breeze, either?
I honestly haven't really talked to him too much. Yeah.
Because I've been playing a lot this act,
Yeah,
and I want to complain. I do want to complain.
All right, what do you want to complain about? Maybe I'll join in. Which map out of the two?
I want to start with Breeze.
All right.
What are you guys doing? I actually got to give Riot a lot of credit for like the remake / rebalancing of Bind, the remake / rebalancing of Split. I think that they've done a great job there. I think they've done a better job with Icebox over time, even though I think that map still probably needs more work here. But they take out Breeze, and they've made it worse. I am convinced with my, of course, professional gameplay of my own in ranked, and I have determined they've made the map worse. I have no idea why they took it out for an entire act, only to bring it back, basically to neuter it and to make it like every other map. The whole point of Breeze, in my opinion, was that it was different than the other maps. It was a lot more wide open. There was a lot more space. You could do a lot more with mid, and I think this is the most options of mid out of any of the maps about what you can do in terms of splitting from A to B and types of things that you can, the type of gameplay you could have. And they were like, okay, Valorant players, we know you're kind of stupid. We know that you actually can't watch more than one angle in this game for you rank players out there. Let's just remove like half of the map because we know you guys don't know what you're doing. So they get rid of half of A main. They neuter mid entirely, which basically you can have one smoke, and you do quick mid to A, or basically just hold it from on the defensive side. And they got rid of all of hulls. So like to me, all they did was make the map easier for the average Valorant player, rather than, in my opinion, trying to tweak it a little bit for some changes they need. Where are you on this?
So the reason why I'm gonna say I don't like it is not because I think it's a bad map. I just really liked what the old Breeze brought. Like, I liked the distance and the ability to like manipulate rotations very well on attack. And even though the agent pool was kind of stagnant, I thought they could have done a couple different things to make that change. But now with this new Breeze, I find like you don't really even need a Sentinel in a lot of scenarios, because a lot of the avenues have just been completely gutted, right? Like, you can't go A halls. So essentially, like, the people playing A just need to, one, fight for A main control early, or two, have some kind of like bend but don't break setup on A, which is very easy when you just have to worry about like mid doors and A main. It seems like the CT side just doesn't have to think a lot about what they want to do. At least even in like my ranked games, and they are to an extent like doing a lot of A main pushes and like occasional B aggressions. But the B site, I really dislike the B site. I'm not gonna lie, like, I dislike it. I think there's a lot of weirdness with like the jump up angles on both like the left hall and the back of the site.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they kept the B site the same. Harbor seems really OP. Like, every time I play Harbor on Breeze, I feel like I'm absolutely controlling the fuck out of the map, and I feel like pro teams will definitely be doing the shit that like I'm kind of throwing, but with a second controller and a better sky that can like grab the info of what's in front of all of the high tides and cascades. I don't know.
What do you think the likelihood of Viper Harbor staying on Breeze is? It seems extremely high at this point.
Yeah, it has a pretty good likelihood, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it doesn't even need to be Viper though, is the thing, because like a lot of these chokes seem like they can now be blocked with like a smoke, like one smoke. Viper is optimal because you can kind of seesaw really well with her, and she can lock down the B site for you on defense. But I don't know, I dislike what they did at mid, because
that's the worst out of all the changes. I think that is the worst change.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not a terrible map, but I don't like it compared to what Breeze used to be. I don't like how they removed
Breeze is
halls.
one of my favorite maps.
Yeah, I don't like how they removed halls. I don't like the changes to the B site. Mid, I could live with it probably if, there was another option for the A players. But instead, it's like the solutions are always there for the defenders. Like, they just know exactly what's going on. Like, if they get some early A main control, they can easily maneuver around the sites, which is another sell of, like, you don't really truly need a Sentinel anymore, even though the map is very big, because of how mid pans out. Like, it's just not essential. Like, you could just have, like, Viper lock down one of the sites. It's kind of like how Split operates a lot lately with the double duelist comp.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It just felt like, with the launch of the game, nearly all of the maps are defensive CT sided. You had Split, you had Bind, you had Ascent, you have Pearl. I think majority of all of those definitely you would say they're CT sided. And pretty much you
Pearl
only had Haven.
Pearl was super attack sided.
Which?
Pearl, the iteration where people were just going like Viper Harbor and spamming from Long B. You literally couldn't even stop it. Pearl was so attack sided when teams kind of figured out a meta up until they changed the map and made it more even or more.
Okay. So you got Haven that's attack sided. You got Pearl, which I see your point, professional play. I think it may be more CT sided in your normal ranked game. And then Icebox kind of seemed 50-50 up in the air in terms of, probably, I would say pretty even. But Breeze was one of the few, in my opinion, comparatively, offensive attack-sided maps. And now, with all the changes, it is super defensive-sided. Why is that necessary, given you already have Bind and Split and Ascent that are already super CT-sided? And I guess, I don't know how Sunset will play as of yet. It just feels like maybe they made the changes due to Sunset, and it's like, I don't know how similar it is to Breeze, but there are, a lot of different paths. You have a mid where you can split into A and B. It's like somewhat similar in that regard. It just feels like, with the map pool as it is, and with the majority of the maps being CT sided, you didn't need another map that was CT sided. It didn't even remove. You are right.
I disagree with that completely. I actually think I think the way that they handled the maps for a long time was they made them all like attacker sided, and that just seems so noob friendly. I hate attacker sided maps.
When did that happen? Like, Launch, Split, and Bind were insanely defensive sided. Even Ascent is still insanely defensive sided.
And then they brought Split back, and it's like one of the best attack like maps in the pool. Haven is pretty attack sided because it has 3 sites. You can easily mid round on it. Breeze was super attack sided at one point. Icebox was pretty attack sided at one point. Like
Lotus too.
Lotus, obviously.
3 sites. Yeah.
And when maps are attack sided, I don't like it. Fracture went through waves of that. It makes the defenders have to take risks, like big risks, because it's not like if a map is defender sided, at very least you probably have to craft up something really cool. That's at very least like creative and fun for the viewer to watch. But if a map is attack sided, you're often left making like really risky plays on defense. And it's very hard to get like consistency out of pro level teams on those maps, because honestly, a lot of it is just individual plays and maybe like a one-off defender push. But usually on attack maps, if you do a push like that, the other team will just roll off of it and hit the opposite site, and then you lose that site. So I hate attack-sided maps. I feel like it's super noob-friendly, and I think the map pool needs a lot of defender-sided maps.
Well, then wouldn't you be in favor of the current Breeze remake?
I just don't like the layout of like B site and how.
So you're okay with Cave being gone? To me, I don't think that is.
I'm okay with Cave being gone, but I'm not okay with like Halls being gone.
Not Halls,
and like how the B site was approached. If Halls
what about left side mid too? Okay, let's say you had B the same, you had Cave removed, you had Halls staying. Do you think mid should stay open?
I think mid is fine in like the new changes. I don't think it's terrible. I think it also like opens stuff up a little bit more for like Vipers If they kept everything the same and they just only changed mid, they would have made it so that way like Viper could do legitimate like mid A splits with her orb, do like a wall maybe towards B or a wall towards A. And obviously, like I think now we're moving into double controller era, but on Breeze, but that's not what it was before. I think it would have been fine. Like I think it would have been fine because before every round it was like Viper orbs nest, Viper walls one of the sites, and now with the way mid has changed, it just gives a different look for how that smoke and how that area is kind of like taken over by attackers. And I kind of like it. I like how mid operates currently. It is very weird, the whole like jump up thing with like 3 jumps.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I like it a lot more than the old one.
Okay. What do you think about the agent diversity? I mean, Riot doesn't really say explicitly or specifically why they're changing certain maps, but if the goal with this remake is to bring the variety in terms of what agents are played on the map, it really does not seem like Viper is going to go, or Viper is going to be replaced by Harbor, and there's still going to be a second smoke. And if that ends up being the case in professional play, it seems like Riot had failed in their mission to change the given agent pool, because you're still going to have Viper and or Harbor and maybe the second smoke. It still seems like Skye is going to be like the initiator. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens to her and if the nerf is really going to hurt her, but it doesn't really seem like compared to Sova, and you're going to have an op, right? It feels like the op is still going to be super important. So it's either going to be Jet or Chamber, do you feel like that's accurate?
I think you could go either of those. I don't know. I don't think that. See, I think like right now the duelist category is really up for grabs with the whole Jet nerfs. I know it's not really like noticed in ranked play, but I think in a team setting, and even like in when teams try it out initially, it might not have like immense value right away. But I promise you, when like the next season starts or the teams have enough practice in them, I feel like the teams that stayed on Jet and didn't adapt, they're gonna regret it in the long run. I don't think Jet's necessary on Breeze. I think like you could run Yoru at this point. You could definitely run Neon. Like I know you can do some crazy shit on Yoru. Especially on this B site, dude. There's so many TP locations for the B site on Yoru. I think Chamber has some like decent TPs, but I honestly don't even know if like a Sentinel like that is necessary. Like I don't know if Chamber's even necessary, because you could probably run like double controller, Skye, a duelist, and you can kind of free roll with like the last slot. You could either go like double initiator, you could go double duelist, or you could run something like Chamber. You could do a lot of things with that 5th player.
I think we'll see. I think we could talk about how the meta changes are going to affect professional play across all the maps, but there's so much time between now and next season, or even the LAN events and your event. I can't wait for your event, Sean. In a month or 2 or so to kind of see what happens. What do you think the likelihood is that we're going to have main oppers be on neither the Jet or the Chamber, and we're going to have a bunch of Kangs running around with Raves ops? Or do you feel like we could have Neon op or Yoru op on Breeze?
You could have Yoru op. I don't know about Neon op. I mean, I've seen it done before, like Kiwi's done it. But it's just not optimal. I think.
So, do you think we're gonna? But okay, if the Jet nerf is as big as we are all feeling it's going to be, and the Chamber buff is good, but still not at the level of where KJ or Cypher in terms of how good they are, the op isn't going to go away. The op is still great as a weapon, and it's like necessity into winning professional play does not seem like it's going to be diminished at all. So another character is going to have to be the main opper.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Yoru would slot in pretty well. I don't think he can do the things that like Chamber and Jet can do, but there are a lot of value adds that a Yoru can give you. Like obviously you can rotate across the map immediately, and in a map like Breeze, that's super valuable. I think your attack would probably be a little bit better with Yoru as opposed to Jet with like the 2.5-second cloud burst, unless you have some really fucking well-timed execs. I think Yoru just gives you more, like where like the meta seems like is going. But I do think like Raze is certainly viable. Like
Raze is definitely the agent that is going to be the most picked across the map.
Yeah, she's gonna have like one of the highest pick rates, like when we check back in like a couple months. I think Skye will remain up there even with like the light nerfs she got. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think like a lot of the other nerfs will greatly impact the pick rates. But I do think Jet will feel it at like the top level of pro play.
Do you feel like the game would be in a better state if the main oppers are not 2 characters that are get out of jail free cards? Like the entire state of the game? Or do you feel like it's not as big of a change overall that it'll matter too much?
I mean, like, it's the way Valorant works is people right now are like, oh, it's just only 2 agents can op. Like, but if these agents couldn't op, it would just be 2 different agents. Like, and it's always not gonna be your fucking agent. If you're like an initiator, it's not gonna come down to you. Like, it's you have to probably be a duelist or a sentinel, or off chance you could do it on like smokes if you're like an omen and you want to use those TPs. But it's always going to be some agent with a movement ability. Like, it's just, if you
like a Raze or a Yoru.
Yeah, like Raze, Yoru, Jet, obviously Chamber. Those are the 2 main ones. And then you might get a chance to like do it with Killjoy, because Killjoy is like one of those agents where, you know, you can play off of your util a little bit and you can nest really well. I think there's a lot of shit you could do with Killjoy with it, but it's still not optimal. So what Sakel said in chat is also true. Apparently the new agent is a duelist. So honestly, like a lot of these nerfs that you might be seeing could just be like making the way, like paving the way for the new agent to come in and be like an opper. Maybe. I mean, I'm just purely speculating.
Which I think would be a very game development thing to do. It feels like Riot, I know Blizzard has done it a lot with Overwatch. They definitely nerf characters in anticipation for the new character that does something similar or a similar type of role that the characters that they nerfed. Even though I don't necessarily think it really goes the way that Riot or Blizzard wants it to. Like, they end up like bringing in this new character and then trying to nerf the old one, but all they end up doing is now teams run both instead. They don't end up replacing the other character. Now they just run both because both are really good. I mean, so I guess we'll see how it goes. But I definitely think the op role is going to be the most significant change across the board.